Okay guys, today we're looking at a monster. This is Two-Handed Engine by Henry Kuttner and Catherine Lucille Moore. This is Centipede Press's, was one of the first books they ever did. It is an incredible book. It's one of those that is going to last forever. And as far as the production goes, it's got amazing things to it, and it's got some negatives too. We're going to talk about here in a second. As far as Kuttner and Moore go, this was one hell of a writing duo. These guys produced some of the best speculative fiction I've ever read. So there's some different ways to get at it. I put a little bit of that in the review. But what you can see here, well, besides it being monstrous, this thing's almost 1,000 pages. Here is a color frontispiece. Right there. That'll be pictured below. And then there are a couple pieces of art in here, but not many. I think there's one for graveyard rats, for another story. And then the biggest one is one I want to show right here is for vintage season, which is really cool. There we go. So, and then here's just kind of a look at the text itself. You can see me trying to manipulate this monster. This book is so huge. So, there's that. Now, as far as some of the issues, there's a couple things here. A lot of spelling errors in this. They're just there's just way too many. This book needed more proofreading. I imagine the Sci-Fi Book Club edition maybe takes care of that. I don't know. This happens in limited editions more than you would think, where they just don't quite have the proofreading they probably should have. So you, instead of buying a $15 hardcover from Barnes & Nobles, you buy a $100 very, very nicely produced copy that has all kinds of errors in it. It's one of the things that really needs to be fixed by everybody, and I think everybody's done a much better job now. I don't see errors in Centipede very often anymore. But there's another thing. Well, there's a couple things we got to talk about. One is this. There is, in my particular copy, there is an entire ream of paper misplaced within the book. When I first saw this, I thought this book was missing about 10 pages out of it. You see how it goes from 440 to 451 right there? So it's just that there's a leaf misplaced. So what you do is you go back 440, and you have to flip forward a few pages to get to 441. 442 on the back. Then you go all the way back. Oops, you go all the way back past 51, which is just this one page, to 44. You read through to 50, back to 51, and then you forward through the book to 52. It's like reading a choose-your-own-adventure book. I mean, you are flipping all over the place to get to this one story. So that's kind of a decent-sized mistake. That's just one piece of paper that that has 4 pages on it, because one piece has one page on each side and then one page on each side over here, and it gets folded over. So it ends up being a lot of flipping around. It's something that I wish wasn't in there, but that is far better than those pages being missing altogether, which I would not have been happy at all. This is kind of weird. It's an interesting thing, but it's not the end of the world. So, the next thing. Here is, and this will be pictured below so you can read it carefully if you want. This is the limitation statement of the book. This book, second issued with this imprint, was designed by Jerry Walsh. This edition is 215 copies, of which 200 are for sale. Of these copies, numbered 1 through 300 are for sale and numbered in black. So right now we've got 215 copies, but 1 through 300 are numbered. I'm not exactly sure how that works out or what the misprint is there, if I'm just misunderstanding something. Also, my edition isn't numbered at all. I don't have a black number that they talk about there. I don't have a red number. So this just has no limitation page like that. I don't actually know how many of these, I don't really know how many produced. So those are the issues with this book. None of them were deal breakers for me. I loved this book anyway, and I actually read most of it. A couple of these stories I read on Kindle for convenience sake a couple times, but most of it has been this book read, and it was a fabulous experience. I mean, a lot of times people don't like books this big, but I'm telling you, once you settle down with something like this, get in your lap, find whatever's comfortable for you, prop it up with one hand, put it on two, put it on a table, something. There is something special about reading these monstrous volumes. It's really cool. So as far as Two-Handed Engine goes, like I said, there's an SF book club version. After Press has been doing some of their work. But this is incredible. I haven't read everything by these guys. I've read some other stuff outside of here, but so far, this is the best single collection of stories by these guys I've ever seen. I don't think it's going to be beaten, ever. I really don't. But it might be, and I'll be all over it when it is. So, anyway, Two-Handed Engine, Henry Kuttner, C.L. Moore, Centipede Press. Highest recommendation for these stories, for this book, for this publisher. This is amazing stuff. Amazing stuff.